Hello, and welcome to Your Brand Expressed podcast, where coaches, authors, speakers, and business owners get a chance to articulate their processes when it comes to expressing their brands online. With your hosts, Carl and CJ Aline. Sit back, grab a cup of coffee, a notepad, and enjoy the ride. All right, everyone, we are hanging out with the wonderful, the amazing Dr. Vyvyane Loh. How you doing today? Woohoo!
Hi there.
Hey. Long time no see.
I know, like from this morning, right?
Right. It's great to have you on, Dr. Loh. It's been phenomenal just knowing you. We've known each other for a while, right? We go back.
Years.
We go way back. Years, literally. More than a decade.
Yes.
More than a
We'll
decade.
keep it at that.
We'll keep it at that, though. Hey, I'm more on the side of, hey, we're like fine wine. We get better with time. So I like giving people a little history because, it's good to give the history a little bit,
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So, Dr. Loh, how do you want me to address you? Dr. Loh, Vyvyane?
Vyvyane. Yeah,
Vyvyane,
we've known
okay.
each other too long for
That's true.
formalities.
Facts.
Yeah.
Skip the formalities.
That doctor label is nothing to skip on, though.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, big deal.
Yeah.
That's a big deal, and for our audience, it's great for them to know that, So, Vyvyane, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background. I mean, your background is really unique and it's very inspiring. It's very powerful. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks for saying that, Carl, because I actually found it a little overwhelming and hard. I get asked that kind of question all the time. Tell us a bit about yourself. And I'm like, okay, now which bit? Which bit, right? And that's the hard part here. And maybe we can go into it a little later, but essentially there are different sides of me. There's the side that's the doctor side. I went to medical school at Boston University, local here, and did my residency here. And now I am practicing. I'm board certified in internal medicine and obesity medicine. And my main focus is metabolic health and helping people reverse their disease, because most chronic diseases are actually very reversible. And if you don't have disease yet, then hopefully prevent the disease, right? So that's been my main focus in the last, I would say, 7 years or so. But I've also, done a lot of dance and choreography and performed. And I've written a novel that was published. I have my MFA in fiction from Warren Wilson College. So I have all those different sides of me. And then there's just a part of me that's just a little kind of goofy at times, and I always come up with these, what I think are great ideas. I don't know about the people around me, but I managed to drag a few people along and we end up having a good time, So yeah, there are all those different aspects. And when someone says, tell me a little bit about yourself, it's really hard to select the bits.
That's right. I tell you what, though, you did amazing with that. You did fantastic with that because, I'm getting to learn this even about myself. The different things and experiences that you go through in life, they all lead you up to where you're at right now.
Yeah.
And if they're so important. We live in a this or that world, and compartmentalize this part of yourself and compartmentalize that part of yourself. And you got to be professional. You got to be this, and that. We label ourselves so much. But if we just sit back and pay attention to how we're brought to this moment, we'd be blown away. And guess what? We're blown away right now by what you just explained. And you articulated it really, really, really well. So, and I love the arts, and that's where we know each other. And with all transparency, Dr. Loh's one of our clients, and she is crushing it right now online. And you might be thinking, what? I'm crushing it. Say what? Yes, you are crushing it, my friend.
Oh, wow.
For such a short amount of time. Yeah, you're doing it, and you're and may I add to your experience with just being a professional adapter, because you adapt really, really well.
Oh, good. I think that's the art part, though, right? Like
Right.
when you're performing and things happen, there's no thinking. You just have to go with it. You know, there are moments where you just have to get through that moment the best you can, right? And you
Right.
adapt.
Right. And I love what you said about the goofy side because even hearing that and bringing along people along with you, it seems like you're one who builds great community as well. And we need that in this day and age. We need
Yeah.
community where we can get positivity and get inspiration and get that get that, whether it's coaching or just even treating your clients, your patients, and it's so needed right now. You
Yeah, and
know,
that's I think what makes all the work that I do kind of really meaningful to me, because it's nice to get XYZ results, but in the end, if you're also touching people's lives and you're building community, that's really like that for me is really special.
I think that's
right?
key. Yeah.
Yeah, and
The
then
impact.
you know
Yeah.
what you were saying about the goofiness too. I used to be a lot more like, especially at work, a lot more restrained, but because I always felt the need to fit into a compartment, and a lot of people who knew me from the doctoring side didn't know any other part of my life, right? And uh, I think the goofiness and being able to be a little goofy sometimes, even with my patients, that allows them to relax too, and realize they're talking to a real person, right? And I'm just a human being like everyone else. And I think that allows us to have better communication and just to get real. Because I think with patient care, a lot of times, you have a set of objectives, you have to do XYZ, but the reality is just checking off those things that you have to do isn't going to get you any impact, right? And it's relating to the person and understanding where they're coming from and getting into the reality of their lives. But you're only going to do that if you can connect. And being goofy helps a lot.
Right.
Mm. Right, that's true. That's powerful. And I'm a fan of that. I'm a fan of being goofy. And I agree with what you said 100%. I believe it gives other people the freedom to be themselves
Yeah.
or
Mhm.
be on the journey to become themselves because with different experiences in life, we're not always in that environment where we could be ourselves.
Yeah.
You know,
That's so
so
true.
Right.
yeah, so I look at it as a journey as well. Just everything I do, well, not everything, but a lot of things I do, I try to just really be goofy and just relax and just let my hair down, and other people can do it too. And then everyone's letting their hair down. It's just a great
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. To enjoy the moment, I think that's a big one.
Enjoy the moment. Enjoy the moment. So with what you do, I love all the things you do. Like so right, what I want to say 90 days ago, like around the time of end of August, summertime, you pursued the journey of expressing your brand online. More so, you've already done that. You've already been doing that, but more so, it's like a new venture in a sense. Would I say? Am I saying that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I had zero online presence before that. I I had never been on social media. I didn't even know what to do, right? So I most of my life just had never ventured into the social media world. And so when we talked about working together, Carl, remember, I was just completely
Yeah.
lost. I just had to sign up on things and figure out each platform. I still have not figured out the platforms, but even
Yet.
just,
Yet.
yeah, yet. But even
You're
just
still you're
doing
still
like,
scraping it.
oh my God,
Exactly.
just doing a profile, that was like mega stress. What am I supposed to do? Load a photo? How do I do that? Like what photo? And I don't have a lot of photos of myself. What photos are we talking about? Right. So yeah, that has been like the biggest learning curve. And that was really helpful having you guide me along there and just be reassuring because I kept thinking, am I doing this right? So that was really helpful.
I love that, and you know what, if from my observation, I hope you don't mind. From my observation, you're, and we'll talk about this more too, but you have this ability to do the research and adapt quickly and learn it. And once you're in it, like you attack it, you know, and
So,
you get a lot of knowledge on it. And that's not an easy thing to do. It takes a lot of focus. you know. But once you do it, you're able to add it to your tool belt, and it helps you out. It enhances everything else that you do. I personally believe, you know. So seeing that and seeing your journey, you know, with marketing, we call that the hero's journey, you know, or even there's an origin story, you know, and this is part of your origin story, you know. It's really really cool to see, you know, your growth with it, because you're doing it. You're
Oh,
like
thank you.
I wouldn't even call you a beginner, like
Oh,
with what you're doing. Seriously, you're in it. And that's the thing about it. That's a good principle. Throwing yourself into it, not throwing like in a sloppy manner, but putting yourself in it and throwing yourself in it, and you put your all into it. You're able to accomplish so much.
Yeah.
one of the
You know.
things we talked
Yes.
about really early, right? You asked me a question, Carl. You said, you know, sometimes people want to have a handle on everything before they actually launch or get started, and things have to be, you know, at a certain level or even a level of perfection. And you asked me what my preference was, and I said, well, I tend to learn as we're going along, right? And I think, especially, you know, being creatives, we're aware that when you start, you don't know where you're going to end. And the important thing is the journey. I think every creative knows this, because the journey is going to help you redefine, you know, what you thought was important and your direction and so forth, right? Because you think, but then when you actually go, you go, no, that's not really what I meant, right? And then you keep searching and you're trying different things out. So I think when you've done a lot of sort of creative work, you know the process is in the doing. And I didn't want to be stuck in the thinking phase where you're thinking, but thinking is just theoretical, which there's a lot of benefit to that. But, you know, in the end, you haven't, you know, learned as much as you could, you know, if you dived in. So I kind of tend to do that with most things in my life. I go, well, I don't know anything about this. And, you know, what you call diving in, that's exactly what I try to do. I go, well, you know, the first thing I do is I like to learn from other people. So talking a lot to you, but also reading and, you know, chatting with other people and checking in on their experience. And then there's no other choice. You just have to do it.
Mm.
And then you go, oh, that's what he meant, you know. Oh yeah. Because there's certain things you said to me that I really didn't get it until I tried it, right?
Mm.
Then when I tried it, then I thought, oh, now I see what he's saying, you know. But if I hadn't tried it, I wouldn't have gotten to that point. So I think the important thing was getting started. And you were like, you know, some people want to wait, and I was like, no, because for me the learning process is important. And
Mm.
you know, you if you go, we're all going to make mistakes, but hopefully you want to make the majority of them early
Yeah.
and not late, right? Because you can still
Right.
adjust and change things. Yeah.
That's a gem. I think the point that you made about just kind of like diving in, like, is like a principle you could use for almost like anything in
Yep.
life. Like some people like hold back, like, oh, I don't know if I should start. Like you might be talented at art and like, oh, I don't feel like doing this painting. I don't know what people will think. I don't know if I could do it. But I feel like you learn so much more when you actually like are doing it. Like when you're like, sometimes you don't even know that you're doing it. It's like, whoa, it's like I'm really doing this right now. This is crazy. But it's like almost like you're like walking on water. You're really just doing something that you didn't think was capable, but just like taking that first step, that's like the most key point. I really feel like.
Absolutely. And
Right.
the other
Yeah.
big thing that I've been trying to do, you know, in my life is just to, I kind of have lived this whole way, but I've actually taken it to another level last year and going forward, is to always put myself in the discomfort zone. Because when you get too comfortable, then
Mm,
a level of complacency can set in, you know? So, and you don't grow, right? Nobody grows from just the, I'm hanging out, I'm really comfortable here zone. And it's nice to be in that zone. I'm not saying we don't appreciate it, but, you know, I I I think it's important, and I've done that. I did that a lot last year, and there were many moments where I was like, "What the heck am I doing? And how did I get here?" Right?
yeah.
And then you just keep going. and you keep going, and then you come out in some other place. And sometimes it's not the place you expected, but it's still just as wonderful because you learn something and you gain something in that journey. And, it kind of somehow makes you bigger, So I think that to me, for me, the main thing in life is that you're growing, right? And growing in a positive way. And I've learned now that what you think is the way you should go often doesn't turn out that way.
Right.
But if you're willing to put yourself out there and make mistakes and fall flat on your face, and I'm still like trying to catch some moments are scary, and I still have to talk myself through, but I'm getting braver every minute, right? And that's the thing. I want to be braver in life.
Mm.
I want to be braver. I don't want to be smaller and, kind of hold myself back. I think part of expansion is I want to do things with heart, but I want to say that the word courage comes from core, right? COR, which is really heart,
Mm.
right? And
Wow.
if you say you're doing something from heart, you want your heart to be bigger, and that's courage, right? And
Right.
that's how I want to live. So I'm putting myself a lot of times in those scary situations for me because it's unfamiliar. I'm not sure, and I still, like I've been going to dance classes and doing genres I've never had in my life, right? And every time I make it to a class, I'm really proud of myself for showing up, right? And then I make it through the class, and I'm like, oh, I got through. And every time I think my heart gets a little bigger because there's a little bit more courage. So that's what I want to bring into my life. If we're talking about
Mm.
what I want to bring in
Wow.
for 2023, even more of that, right?
Mm. Wow, that totally resonates, Vivian. CJ is going to have another question for you, but I'll say this: one book I'm reading now is a 5-second rule by Mel Robbins, and
Yeah.
it's you heard that book? Oh my
Yes.
gosh, that's what a fantastic book. I read it before, I went through it before, but I'm like, okay, I'm going through the book again because there are a lot of different concepts when thinking about goals and things you want to accomplish, but with that, it's simple. The idea is okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You got to take action. But it's interesting because once you take action, you're on the journey, but there's so many golden nuggets that you pick up along
Yep.
the process.
Yep.
And so with what you're talking about, it totally resonates, and getting that courage more, and you get so much more growth. And that's one of the things about you, like even working with you, what I admire is that I said it before, you're a walking encyclopedia. You know what I mean? And when it comes to putting content out online and putting information out online and trying to reach people and educate and serve and help people, it's not easy for everyone to do, And besides feeling like you could get the imposter syndrome and things like that, there's some people who may not be prepared to give, but you're on it.
Oh,
You're
thank you.
so on it. You can put out content on the fly. You can prepare really well and put out like your podcasts are just so rich with value,
Oh, thank
and
you.
that's the thing that impresses me. And I'm not saying that I'm kind of biased because you're one of my clients, but
Yeah.
if I put the bias aside, that's straight, as CJ would say, straight up facts.
Facts.
That's facts, and so that really impresses me. But CJ, you have a question?
I was gonna ask basically like I know a lot of people think like businesses just happen overnight. Like some people might think like, oh, like maybe I could wake up and this can happen. But would you say you were an overnight success? Or did you have to like work for what you earned basically?
I remember one quote. Probably I'm not quoting it accurately, but it was George Clooney, and he said at one point, it took him 20 years to become an overnight success, right? And that's exactly it. And I don't know, this overnight success thing too, because what's success, right?
Mm.
Because if you're always learning and you're always a little uncomfortable and reaching, then there isn't an end point. So I guess I see it, CJ, it's a journey, and it's always going to be a journey. When I was younger, I had these goals when I worked out. Let's say, for example, right? I go to the gym and I start with this set of weights. Then I want to get to the next set, and then it's heavier and I can do more. And then at some point I said, well, okay, well, you get to a point where you run out of sets. Now you got to, do something else to make, and I thought, well, what's the point of that? What can I do to take what I'm doing now and get as much out of it as possible, right? So like even my own resistance training now, instead of going heavier each time, I'm changing up what I do. So can I do it slower? Can I do it quicker? Can I hold those positions longer? Can I change the quality of the movement? And that challenges your body in different ways. Can I do it on one leg? Because now your balance is kind of being challenged too. You know what I'm saying? So taking that one thing or a few things and really kind of getting into it rather than looking for a point to hit. That's, I think, the difference between the younger me and now. Just finding in the moment all the lessons. So yeah, I think, people think of, if they want to start a business, that they're here now and then there's some mythical point that they get to, that success, right? And then I find that it's not just business, it's anything in life, when you get to that mythical success point, a lot of people are like, well, that was it, or what is this, or it wasn't quite what I thought, right? And I don't want to live like that either, and
Wow.
I've done that in other areas of my life, and I've talked to enough people. I don't want to live like that. I've had a huge kind of reevaluation of my life, and Carl, you and I talked personally about that and how we've evolved in our career choices and what's important to us now, right? So I think the way I see it is, look, I'm here this one time in this body, and I'm going to get as much out of it as possible. I'm going to learn as much as possible. And I said this last night too, I don't want to leave anything, but I just want to put it all out there when I exit. You know what I'm saying? I'm not leaving anything in here. I'm going to put it all out. I've just made that decision. And when I say all out, it's like the fullest expression of myself. And every bit of me, I think every one of us unique and special. And if everyone in the world could do that and show the fullest expression of themselves, but we all hold back, right? And I don't know where I heard this, CJ, but I keep reminding myself of this. It's choose your F word, fear or faith, right? Choose your F word. Whenever I get, that the 5-second rule, right? And you're holding your breath, and I always, fear or faith. And I want to turn to faith every time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's wow. That was a lot of gems in there. I'm not sure if y'all picked that up, but
I hope so. Listen again,
sure.
Rewind
Make sure
it.
you guys run it back, all that. But I love what you said about fear and faith. Like I feel like everybody has a side of them that like everybody should see. Like no matter who you are, I feel like everybody should see one side, or at least a side of you, like that you never shown before. It's like, wow, he could do that. Like she's capable of this. Like I think that's so key in today's day and age, because some people feel like they have no value personally. And I feel like the internet is a great way to express it and find people that like, I relate to that. Like, I feel like I'm the same way. So I like what you said about that. I just want to tag on to that.
Yeah. And it's that whole thing about, the heart, right? I wish all of us would have the courage to reveal our hearts. And that is courage in a nutshell, is to show your heart, right? And to me, I think maybe the aim or the goal in life is to open up your heart more and more, right? As much as as you grow, you open up your heart more and more. And if you, whatever you're doing, if you find that your heart is closing in, maybe that's not the right direction. I'm using that as my, navigation guide. When I have to make a decision, does this open my heart more? Right? Or does this close me in more? A long time ago, Carl, I was working with a director, and actually I was just doing choreography for stage, for a play, and it was physical theater. And at one scene, he wanted people to show fear, the actors on stage to show fear. So all the actors were doing things like this, right? And backing away. And I'm like, well, okay, there are other ways. And actually the most common way that animals and people show fear is this contraction and collapse the chest, and we become smaller, right? And so I keep that in mind. Is this going to open me up, or is this going to close me in? Like this. See, no one gets in, right? And this is a way to embrace more, right? That's I think that's the guiding question I have for myself when I make decisions, because I'm human, and sometimes, and lots of times, I make mistakes, and then I go back and I go, were you doing that from a place of opening up your heart more or closing? And if I had been closing in, then how would I do it the next time? Because we're going to make mistakes, but we have to we got to look at ourselves, and then, kind of be honest with ourselves and say, well, I'm going to do this, even if it's harder. I'm going to try and do that, and be my practice. So.
Wow.
It's powerful. Some gems right there.
Yeah.
Hey, rewind it. If y'all listen to this, you need to rewind this when you hear it, okay?
It's gonna be a repeat episode right here.
Replay.
Yeah.
And it's so true with life and anything we do, and whether it's running our business or trying something new. I love that when you talked about how you want to live bigger with the courage and opening up more. What a great analogy. And then fears, you're closing up more, and you're hesitant to try things, you're hesitant to do things. And at the end of the day, you regret that. Who wants to live with regret?
Yeah, absolutely. And I will tell you, and all my friends, and you may have heard, like, they'll say, yeah, she's a little crazy, because I'll come up with some crazy idea, and then I'll just like suddenly jump into it. And many times, I can't tell you how many times I've fallen flat on my face. Okay. But then I got up and I kept going. I didn't die. Second, right. I had a great laugh at myself. And that's something I enjoy about myself. I entertain myself a lot because I find some of the things I did like crazy, and I laugh. Right. Wow. And then I really like that I got up and kept going, and I've said this a lot. I've said this a lot to my patients, is sometimes people, talk about needing to love themselves more. And I'm like, okay, me, I start at the beginning. Let's not be so ambitious. Why don't we start with liking ourselves more? Right? If you like yourself more, it's and you like yourself more and more, it leads to love. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I find the things that I like about myself, and one of them really that I really, really like about myself is I can't tell how many times I have fallen flat on my face, and I like that each time I got up. I really like that about me. Yeah.
Woo!
Wow. It's facts.
Yeah, that's, and you know what I think every time I pick myself up and I look at myself and I go, I like you. I like your spirit. Like a friend, right? You see someone that you're close to, and if they have a hard time, but they get up and they keep going, there's something, and you go, I don't care about all that stuff. I don't care that I like that you got up. That's something special about you. And I look at myself, I have a great laugh, and I go, you made me laugh. And I like that you got up.
I love that's powerful, because I think about the concept of self-talk. You know, and
Yes.
we all have self-talk. We all talk to ourselves, you know,
Absolutely.
and
All
someone
day.
hearing that might, right? And someone hearing that might think, wow, that's kind of crazy. No, but it's really, really good. We need to have more of that in our inner dialogue.
Right.
You know what I mean? I like you. I like, and I love what you talked about. Yeah, loving ourselves. That's ambitious. Let's take a few steps back. I like myself.
Like
That
that.
is so awesome. You know, in that, because that, and even with relationships, my wife and I, you know, we talk. I'm like, Teresa, I love you, but you know what? I also like you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, because in
Yeah.
relationships, it's easy not to like, but you gotta
Yeah.
love because you gotta love, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
But the whole liking part is gone. But there's so many small nuances in there, and that bleeds into different parts of whatever you do in life, you know. So
Yeah.
Right.
yes.
See,
Yeah. Because like brings in the fun. It brings in the, just this lightness, light
Mm,
and lightness, like and lightness.
right. And you have an inner camaraderie with yourself,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
that's so amazing. I love that. I'm gonna walk away with that. I'm walking away
I'm
with that.
definitely writing that down. It's
Yes,
like,
like an inner
Vivian, you
camaraderie.
definitely
I
definitely make me
like.
like excited to fail. Like I don't know what it is. Like
I
it makes me
just.
excited to fail in a way.
I'm
Crazy.
always like, you crack me up, girl. Some of the things
Mm,
that I come up with and I do, and in the moment I'm like, oh my god, and then I look at myself, I'm like, you crack me up. Like you just
love
make
it.
me laugh. I can't believe you did that. Who would do that? Me. Okay, that's why I like you. So
I love that. I love that. More of that. More. And so, you know, with everything you're doing, and even your new endeavor right now, with, you know, you have something going on online right now that you're focused on, right? You want to talk a little bit about that? The thing where, I mean, someone I know just reached a huge milestone by the end of 2022. You want to talk a
uh,
little bit about that?
well, so when we started working together, I told you I wanted to, kind of do a podcast. Never again, typical me, right? I've never done this. Let's do it. So,
Let's do it.
you know, um, and and obviously, like I said, I didn't know quite where to start, and we talked a lot. We had some sort of strategy planning sessions that I found really helpful, helped me focus. And you asked me a lot of tough questions, and I will say, they made me think, and I don't have all the answers yet, even, right? And one of the things that I liked was that you said right at the beginning, you're not going to have the answers, and we're going to figure it out, which again is the creative journey. So I completely understood that, and I completely kind of could bring that in and embrace that, because that's also kind of my way of thinking about it, right? That I was going to have to learn this, all aspects of it. So we started together. I've been doing this podcast on medical science and tools to help optimize people's lives. And we've tried different things, and we've tried different ways also of reaching people. And then we look at the results and see, is that the direction we want to go, or maybe we'll put that aside for now and go in a different direction. So I like the experimentation, because again, that's the artist's way. The artist's way is to take something and play with it, and juxtapose different elements and say, does this work? No, I rather move it this way, or I don't like this color scheme, or whatever it might be. And you're changing it all the time. And we don't have any issues with trying different things out. And then if it doesn't work, letting it go, right? And somehow it doesn't always translate into life. So I like that we're speaking the same language, and I think that was one of the things that made it so much easier for me, because I was comfortable with that, right? So and then, like what I said in the beginning, and this is true of everyone has so many aspects of themselves. And I didn't understand, when you asked me about what my brand was, because I don't think most people go around thinking about their brand, right? This is not regular people don't do that. I'm a regular person. So you don't walk around thinking, oh, this is my brand, right? and you're just a regular person. But on the other hand, you're reaching a certain audience, and they don't, you and I have known each other for a long time, which is probably why I'm so comfortable during this interview and we're hanging together like this, right? But other people, other people are going to meet you for the first time in whatever media you're performing in, right? So let's say the first time they see me is an episode of my podcast or something. So what's their impression, and what's the take home that you want to leave? And how do you convey that and keep it consistent? And I used to think a brand was maybe being a little bit fake about yourself. And I realize now it's just like your bio. You have in your life a million things you've done, a million things. Okay. And now you want to highlight certain things so that in a nutshell, someone who doesn't know you, when they look at whatever you've presented, they get a sense of, okay, what is this person trying to present at this point? Yeah. I think that was helpful. And to be honest, I'm still kind of figuring it out.
I hear what you're saying about that, but dang, that was good. That was good, man. Woo! But what you just said, man, how did you say that? Hold on to that. Like, what is the outcome? I'm kind of paraphrasing it, but what is the outcome? What do I stand for? And what is the outcome that people will get from the interaction with me? The way you said that was perfect.
I don't remember what I said, but
we'll listen to the recording. I'll tell you what, because it was awesome. You know why? And that's what I love about these podcasts, because we're taking business owners and who when we approach these things, sometimes we're thinking, well, we may not think a lot or think much of what we're doing. We think much about it, but the little nuances, we may not think nothing about it. But those are the things that change people's perspectives. Yeah. It changes people's lives. Literally, because it's woo, that was fire right there. Fire. As my alarm goes off, right? I'm gonna edit that out. Turn my phone off. But that is powerful. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's our doorbell too. We can edit this out too.
You shouldn't edit it out. It's there was a few.
I think natural stuff, honestly, like natural stuff happens. It's it is what it is, bro.
CJ, he asked me that a few times, like on the podcast, when I filmed myself, and there'd be certain things, and he'd say, "Do you want me to edit that out?" And I was like, "No, it's real life. It's late at night. I'm trying to crank through this episode. I got a full day tomorrow. Whatever is there is the real me." And we're talking about real life, right? How we're trying to be the best of ourselves in real life situations. And real life situations, the doorbells are going to ring, the alarm's going to go off. Someone's going to interrupt your day. That's just how it is. And how are you going to make the best of it?
That's true. Very true. So we're going to keep it. If you're listening to it and you don't like it, too bad. We're keeping it. We're keeping it. I love that.
Keep it in there, man.
Keep it in there. So, so with the podcast, we want to be able to help our listeners. So, in your mind, what do you think would be the first step to one taking their brand or expressing their brands online when it comes to even building relationships with your potential clients, with your audience, people that you already know? What do you think a first step would be?
One of the things that we talked about, that, and you said this to me, and I found it so helpful and reassuring. You said, you be you, right? Now, it seems like everybody says you be you, but it's very deep, because first you got to know you, right? And a lot of people hear you be you and they're like, yeah. But half the time, if you don't, many people, and I've seen this because I take care of a lot of patients and so forth, and they don't know themselves, right? So it means going back and digging through and asking yourself some of those hardcore questions. Now, when I came, when we started to talk about working together, I had already done the process of reevaluation in my life, right? And I do that periodically in my life, but this was a particularly long period of reevaluation. And that's when I came out with I am going to put it all, I'm leaving it all here. I'm not
Right.
taking anything with me, and that I want to be bigger. I want my heart to open wider with every step of the way, right?
Right.
And doing that deep eval and knowing ultimately what was important to me. And then when you said, you be you, then it allowed me to go by my principles, which I already told you. My principle is this going to open my heart more or smaller? And what I had worried about in the beginning was that I had to fit some kind of template or mold, right? Because a lot of times people think about a brand and you got to be
Right.
like this, you got to be like that, right? And it was reassuring to hear is you're going to be the most of you, whatever that is. And then taking the principle of wanting to open my heart more, then every time I had a decision to make, I had to go back to that, right? And it's almost like having a mission statement, or like in a business, because when you decide, is your business going to do X, Y, or Z, then you go back to your mission. Well, does it fulfill that mission? And if it doesn't, then it may look great to everyone, it may make sense to everyone, but that's not your business mission.
Right.
So you don't take every great idea if it's not fulfilling that mission, right? So I think that was the important part to start with, is to, you saying you do you, and to be the best you. We want that, and not to have to copy anyone. You can have role models, you can see how other people did things, and they can give you ideas, but not to feel the need to kind of fit into that mold or be exactly like this person or that person, right? I think that's really important, and that it's pretty deep to say you do you, because then you got to go back and figure out what the you is about.
Ooh, that's
Wow.
Yeah.
deep. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that. And I find that there's such a fine line between fitting the mold and being yourself according to what your core values are. It's such a
Yeah.
fine line because in any industry, things are moving so fast, and with technology and with the whole craze of social media and even that evolving in the coming years, there's so much information coming at us, so it's hard to take a step back and reevaluate. So I love when you talked about that, reevaluate. Now with that's a hard thing for people, because that means I got to sit back and do some inner work.
Yep. And that's where your mind maps, I think, can be very helpful.
Ooh, mind maps.
Yeah, because I like mapping things out also. And Carl, you came up with those mind maps for business strategies and marketing strategies and stuff. But you could just do that for yourself, right? When you're trying to figure out who you are and what your brand is, meaning what you want to convey in this world. I think that's a better way to say, because again, I would think brand, and there's a part of me that's like, but when you say, okay, what are you trying to convey in this world, right? Which essentially is your brand. But I think when you think of it that way for regular people, I don't know, makes more sense to me.
That's good feedback too, by the way.
Right? Because
what is your brand?
A brand seems so corporate, and there's nothing wrong with corporate. I'm just saying that a lot of people feel like, oh, I'm an individual, and it's not like I have a brand. A lot of people might think that way, but ultimately, whether you're a huge organization or you're just one individual, what are you trying to convey? What are you trying to convey in this world? What message are you sending? That kind of thing.
I love it. I love it. And that's perfect, because, I think about now, 2023, whoo. And I also think about 2000, I take it back to 2005 or 6, where the mindset was so different in different spaces. Now with the the whole thing of social media, and this more communication comes at you faster. The blessing with that is that it kind of breaks down the walls of being professional, breaks down the walls of you have to fit a certain mold. and then you could explore. There's more room for exploration potentially. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. And it's
So,
more doable and accessible because in the past you had to have a lot of money to buy, let's say, TV ads, right?
mm-hmm.
Or even like print ads or anything like that. If you had to kind of, if you had to do an event, we can do webinars, we can do online events now.
Right.
But, before you had to spend a lot of money and reserve a physical space and all that. So I think it's given us, just more ways to go about this, more access.
More access. I love it. Whew. I love that. Vivian, you are kicking some facts. You are kicking some facts
Yeah.
in on our podcast, and we
Ah,
appreciate it.
well,
Yes.
I'm having fun, and just thinking about that access too. And here's the thing. So we have more
Mm,
access, right? But then a
right.
lot of people don't know what to do with that access.
bro.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, because okay, let's say you book a space, right? And you're going to do a live event. A lot of times, well, then you have an event planner and you have someone doing that, right? But then if now you're doing it yourself, maybe, or a small group of you are doing it yourselves, then what do we do? Because we're not like event planners. We've never done this, right? Or whatever the media you're using now, we have the access, but then a lot of people don't know what to do with it. And I think that's where, um, you know, working with you, it's been very helpful because you can give a direction, ideas, support, right? And there were many times too, you've even given me resources. Okay. I'd say, hey, Carl, I'm going to need X, Y, and Z. And then you go, oh, look, you can check this out, and it would be people I could talk to, live people. You've done that. You've hooked me up with a few other creatives that I've used in my work. And then also like just here's some books, here's some articles, here's some templates, here's what you need. Right. And that's really
Right.
helpful.
Rock on. Love it. Love it. I love that. You gotta be the guy. You gotta have a guide, right? The
Yeah.
question is, should I be a Yoda? Should I be a Obi-Wan Kenobi? Should I be? I don't know. I gotta find my. Nah, I'll just be Carl Kenobi. Nah.
That's right.
Right. CJ,
Yep.
you have any other questions, my man?
Just like kind of following up on the last one, like how would you go about that balance between like like being yourself, but also like not trying to like be someone else? Like, because I have people that I idolized in the past, like on 2K, like doing my brand 2K YouTube, and
YouTuber.
yeah, like how do you go about like kind of balancing between the two, like being you, but like also like trying to find yourself while not trying to be someone else? And that makes sense.
Yeah. I think it's this idea, I've done that where I admired someone that I read, and I wanted to write like that person and so forth, right? And I think it's really valuable. I'm thinking as an artist now, okay, to be an apprentice in the beginning. Okay, so sometimes, and I've taught writing workshops. When I sometimes do a writing workshop, I'll have people take a passage from an author they love.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just one paragraph, and then I'm going to say, okay, write about, and I'll give them, let's say, a day at the beach. Okay, and I want you to imitate, the writer that you're admiring. You're almost walking in their footsteps, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I want them to stick as close as possible. So if at this point in the sentence they're using a verb, you're going to use a verb. If at this point in the sentence they're using a noun, you're going to use a noun. So you're almost copying but putting your own story in that, right? And this is the learning experience because you want to experience what it's like. And in dance too, I'm like, I always stand near the front because I want to see the instructor's body, and I'm trying to almost like, get into the instructor's body to try and feel it and understand what that movement is. Because especially if it's a new movement, I'm like, I need to feel it. So I use, let's say, Carl, when you're teaching, I'll use your body to feel the movement first. Okay. Now, when you practice that and you do that for a while, and then you now feel, once you understand the movement, now you have that freedom to like do your thing with it, with the movement. You know what I'm saying? And that's like even today when we did a combo, a short choreo today in the hip hop class that Carl was teaching, and in the beginning you had us just kind of do that little movement. I don't even know how to describe it, right? And there were so many, Jack, and so many people asked like, oh, are we jumping into it? Are you stepping it? Remember? And I was just like, okay, I was just, whatever he's doing, I'm trying to get that first. But after that, you said now you can put your own thing in it once you understand the movement. And I think it's the same way that we admire someone for a reason. There's something in there, CJ, that they're doing that appeals to us, right? And I don't think it's wrong to kind of imitate them, because that's how we learn. It's how we learn to speak.
Yeah, right.
It's how we learn to move, right? We take those that we admire and respect, and we want to be like them. And you put in the work, and that's what apprenticeship is like. It's a process where you're learning, and eventually once you learn it, then you own the move, a little bit more, and then you can put your own thing in it, and then you start to like, once you know the rules, you know what you're doing when you're breaking it. The problem is that I think people start to try to break rules or break things, structures, before they actually understand them.
Ooh.
You know what I mean? So so when you're expressing yourself as an artist, first you have to know the structure. And like, I can't come into a hip hop class and try and put a ballet structure in and think that I know. That's completely no, right?
Well,
so now I'm trying to understand the structure. Let me understand this language. And once we understand the language, now you can feel free to express it. And just like, take the language we're speaking, right? I mean, if we were learning English as a foreign language, we need to understand the rules and how you say something. But then once you're free, you can use a double negative and you'll know what I mean. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're breaking those rules all the time, but because now we have fluency in it, we can do it and we still get the message across in our own way. So I think it's always, people think that imitation is bad. I think that's how we always start learning. And we find the people we admire, and that's your aesthetic, that's your sensibility. In other words, for me, it may be certain types of music. For you, it's a different type of music. You got to respect that. That comes from deep inside you, right? But then now you put yourself in that period of apprenticeship, and you learn from those who were before you, right? What they were trying to do, and to not just, I like the music, but what were they trying to do? And once you know what they were trying to do and how they did it, you can start experimenting. But at some point, you're going to feel comfortable enough to, I guess, break out and do your thing. A lot of times now, in the dance classes that I've been going to, I'm very shy because I know for myself, I don't really know some of the language in my body yet, because I told you I made myself do a lot of new genres. But I'm allowing myself the space. It's okay. It's a learning process. At some point, I'll get there. And there isn't a timeline that I'm giving myself, but I am considering this my apprenticeship and learning from all those that I admire. And then I try different things on my own, back here on my own, right? I'll try the move. And then I'll go, well, what if I did that? Or what if I changed it a little bit? And then at some point, maybe I'll feel a lot more comfortable doing my freestyle. I don't know. That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, no, I love that. Well, you have the mindset though. You
Right.
have
That's great. That's it.
right? You have the mindset, and that's is so so important. And you said something that really resonated too. You talked about putting yourself in the person's body,
Yes.
right? And hearing that, that's for some that might sound what put yourself in the person's body, but what I love about that, it gives you it that's a whole other level of emotional intelligence
Yeah, definitely.
because you're able to put yourself in and empathize in how the person's feeling. And one thing for those who don't know, I teach dance too. We have a community of dancers, and it's a great community. I love this community, so amazing. You guys excite me and encourage me so much, Vyvyane. But you put yourself, in that situation where you can feel, and that's what I talked about earlier today. Even with dance, people believe you can't teach feeling. I disagree with that. You can teach feeling because we all feel.
Yep.
We feel sad, we feel happy, we feel glad, we feel silly, and it's just helping the person to connect the dots. And so you talked about a whole level where you put yourself, like it's like put yourself in the person's body,
Yeah.
where if you do that and you kind of open your mind to thinking like that, it's like, wow, you could think about the person's emotions. You could think about where the person might want to go next as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it just heightens your level of learning. It enhances your learning, and that's a very important thing. One of my goals this year is just to really grow in my learning ability. It's been that for last year too, but it's so important because if you can grow your learning ability, you can grow any other ability pretty much,
Absolutely.
in my opinion.
Yep.
So woo, some nuggets right there.
A lot of. I
Right?
like how you talked about like the language too, like kind of like, or for me, I've always speak English, but I just think about when I tried to learn Spanish back in like 10th grade, I had no idea what was going on. Like I didn't want to say a word that didn't make sense. I was
Right.
just going according to script,
Right.
and I think like that's such a good connection to make. I never looked at it just as like finding how to like learn this language, how to do this, how to do that. It's all language in its own way and expression.
Yeah.
So
Because in the
that was
beginning, like learning, let's say, like you said, Spanish, right? Like, oh, there's a right way and there's a wrong way. And then that's not grammatically correct. And that's not, but we don't speak like that.
yeah.
We break the rules all the time because it helps us express it in a different way. It gives a different flavor to what you're saying when you break it a certain way, right?
Right.
But when you're learning Spanish, like for the first time, you don't know how to break it because you're just like, oh, that's right, that's wrong, right? And
Yeah.
that's okay. First, you got to know that. Then after a while, you go, oh, I got it. But now we can do it differently.
I love it. Love it. Love it.
Wow.
Well, Vyvyane, are there any other things you want to leave us with? Any other thoughts about when it comes to expressing your brand online that you want to leave our audience with? That might inspire them and that can give us some insight.
Oh, I don't know about inspiring people, but
you have been already.
Whole
You
episode
have been
was-
already. And that's
whole
the beauty of
episode,
it.
man.
That's what like hearing an episode like this conversation, I don't know about you, CJ, but it inspires me more to ask these type of questions because there's so much we have inside of us, and all we're doing is we're just extracting the information. We're just asking the questions, but these answers are so valuable because it's from a different perspective. And creatively, imagine if just it's like that in different industries where everyone thinks the same and that's it, and there's no room for growth.
Yeah.
We're stagnant. But if we're thinking differently, how much faster can we grow? How much more can we grow?
Well, then let me say one of my favorite things in life is I always say, the quality of your questions is going to determine the quality of your life, right?
Wow.
So by that, I mean that, the more questions and the better quality questions you ask, the more you open your life up to different possibilities. Okay. And that's the thing with science is asking questions. People think, well, I'm not a scientist or whatever. And they think that a scientist is about, okay, being in a lab or whatever. But I really think maybe you're not technically a scientist, like that's not your job, but we all can, like you said, you can teach feeling, you can teach scientific thinking,
Mm.
right?
Woo,
And
oh, that's it.
scientific,
That's it.
yeah.
I'm gonna say she could
Woo!
drop the mic right there. Like,
Well,
That's
no,
it.
but
Drop
he
the mic.
started it. He started it. He started it because he said you can. He said you
You sure enough
absolutely
can.
can teach feeling, and you can teach scientific thinking, because it's about asking questions, right? So we can ask questions like, well, okay, a kilogram and pounds. Well, how many pounds in a kilogram? And that's a question. It's a good question, but it's not a great question because you could just easily Google that. But maybe you could ask a question about, well, how they figure that the kilogram was going to be the unit of measure. Like, what was special about that? Now, that's a different question, and that's way more interesting. And you go around digging, and you find, you learn a lot more that way, right? So, as we start to kind of open our minds up, it's being open to the questions. Everybody wants answers, and I'm like, no, we want questions and better questions, because the questions drive you. It's like this, the push to go forward is the question. Answers, you arrive somewhere. Okay, I got here. Now what? Then you're static, right? Then you got to have a bigger question, and that bigger question is going to push you forward. Oh, I just popped out of my chair. Push, because
Passion.
yeah, well, I'm moving all the time. But I think that's why I love questions. And I think we're so hung up on being right. And I want to say science is about actually being wrong a lot. It's about, because every time you're wrong, you can say, okay, not this. I'll tell this story. I had a friend, and a long time ago, she said, I don't know what I want to do in life. Maybe I want to do this and I want to do that. Okay, so some of the things she came up with was she loved animals, right? And she wasn't sure if she should be working with animals in her life. So she said, maybe I should volunteer at a rescue or something. I said, okay, go do it. Right now, 6 months later, she still doesn't know because she didn't do it. Now, if she'd done it, I loved it. I hated it. Okay. Like one of the best 3 months in my life, one summer, I worked in a lab. I hated it. Everybody went on some fancy trip or went home for the summer or whatever, and I worked in this lab, and it was just the most boring work. Okay. And someone asked me, well, wasn't that a waste of time? I said, no, it saved me so much time in the future, because anytime something about a lab job, nope, done. I didn't have to think. I never wasted my time. And I knew. I spent 3 months working bench work in a lab, right? Bench work. And I was just like, that's not for me. And knowing what's not for you is actually more information towards getting you to the point of knowing what's for you, right? So we're always like, what's for me? We'll figure out what's not for you. Oh, you just got rid of a bunch of stuff that you don't ever have to think about again. Now you can take that energy and move forward, right? So I think everyone wants answers, and it's just as good to kind of have the questions and then go experiment and figure out, nah, that's not going to fit. Okay, this one. And then at some point, no, that's kind of interesting, but I didn't like all of it. I like this one part. And then how can you expand on that, right? And I think discovering your brand, discovering what you want to do, how you want to express yourself is like that too. Is asking questions and figuring it out and saying, well, that's something I never want to do again. That's actually really valuable information.
Right.
Wow.
I think that's like one of the most greatest forms of like perspective I've heard. Just like, because sometimes people think like you wasted your time doing this and you took a loss. Like it's like that's a L, But
Never.
it's really that's a lesson learned. That's so much things like a question that like you said. That's so important. Like to think about perspective, because that's the self-talk we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
That's what you just mentioned too. It's so much stuff like just Like,
Yeah, like
so many
CJ,
jumps, so
we
many
spend
jumps.
so much time going, should I? Just do it. Just do it. And in 2 weeks, 3 months later, you'll know. Oh no, I don't want to do that. Or that was the best thing. Okay. And now you can move forward, right? But usually people go on, and then 3 months later, they're like, should I do that? And 6 months later, 3 years later, should I? Just do it. It'll put you out of your misery. That's how I think. I'm like, oh, that's just too miserable. Just put myself out of misery. Just do it. If I fall flat, I'll know. Right? If I fall flat and I still want to do it, I'll know.
Right.
Very true.
Yeah.
So true. So true. That's the question that's the answer of the year. It's interesting because it connects to so many things. It reminds me of, one of my coaches, we talk about, and different coaches talk about this too, but the whole idea of the growth mindset and the fixed mindset, and the growth mindset is I can't do this, so I can't do this. And it's so fixed. I'm sorry, the fixed mindset is so focused on that. And it's so fixated on a specific perspective. But
Got to get
growth
an answer.
mindset,
Yeah.
right. Got to get an answer. That's a fixed mindset. A growth mindset says, how can I think about it in a different way? How can what do I think about it? And what it could, and then with those questions, the questions could go on and on and on and on. It's more work with it because you got to think differently, but you get more data, you get more information, and then you're able to serve people more. You're able to help people more and build community in a better way. So I love that.
You get more information and you get more options.
Right. You get more options. So that's why I said this is the answer of the year, because as we're going through our year, we could ask questions all year as far as getting information and doing things differently.
Absolutely.
So wow. Whew. Well, Vyvyane, thank you so much for being our guest on our episode. This was an amazing time.
Thank you.
Oh, you did? Oh, good.
Yeah, because I've been on a lot of interviews, and I think I enjoy myself the most when we're just hanging out and we're just talking about what's important to us and asking good questions. And I'm not very good scripted, I know, and I've learned that about myself. That was a learning process too. And the less scripted I am, and the more I'm kind of in the moment, the more I enjoy myself.
Right on, right on. Well, as far, I love that. And I'm talking about enjoy. I want to enjoy myself, right? Let me say this. I want to enjoy myself. I want us to enjoy ourselves and ask you, where can we find your information at? Where can we find you at online?
My website is VyvyAneLoh.com. So it's VyvyAneLohMD.com. And, you can find information about my podcast. And I hope people will subscribe to my newsletter too. Because, that will be, where I tell people what I'm working on. And I'm adding stuff to the newsletter as we go. So you'll be able to say, I knew her when she was still learning how to do this.
You're doing it. And let me ask you a question. What's the name of your podcast?
It's called VLMD Rounds, like in medical rounds. And I just use my initials, VLMD Rounds. And that's on YouTube. Please like and subscribe. See, I didn't even know to say that. When I started.
And you get better. Exactly. It become like just a internal thing for sure. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure you hit the subscribe and like button to that for sure.
That's right.
Yes. Come on now. There you have it.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed our podcast. If you would be so kind, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, or if you're listening to any of our platforms, whether it's Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whichever one, please be so kind to give us a 5-star rating if you enjoyed the podcast. We'll talk to you soon.